It's all about this checking and adjusting piece and becoming an employer of choice. And part of that is getting smarter about how you track engagement. And what good. Is it up? Oh, okay, sorry guys. So, we'll go on this side for this one. This is how we think about tracking engagement. Raise your hand if you're familiar with the ABCs of engagement. So affective, cognitive, and behavioral, right? Those are all the pieces of an attitude. And engagement is an attitude. And so it's that connection, as I mentioned, with your employer, with your work, with the people you work with. And your head, heart, and hands need to be in alignment. And so that's how we measure engagement. We have a validated engagement measure that there's literature about on your table. And we measure the extent to which your employers are having those distinct pieces of that attitude so we can track their engagement. And so we use this in our standard reports, or we can customize it to help us understand what your engagement looks like, what it feels like to walk into this team or walk into this organization, and what's the status of your engagement, right? So we can see in the disengaged group, who's showing up in this disengaged group? What does your disengaged population look like? How about your engaged population? How similar or different are they? And we can also track the distribution of your engagement. Who's familiar with the golden ratio of engagement? Okay, that's all right. That's why I'm here. That's why you're here. So the golden ratio of engagement is if you have disengaged people on your team, you need at least 4 engaged people, not even partially engaged, you need 4 engaged or highly engaged people to offset the negative outcomes of having 1 disengaged person. So if I walk into a room and there's 10 people there, and we're having a meeting about something, and one person's in the back like, this is garbage. We've done this before, this isn't my problem, who cares, that's a dumb idea, are you serious, right? We've all been in a room with that person. The statistics are going to show us, the science is going to show us that we need at least 4 people saying, no, we can get this done, this can work, let's stay a little longer, let's make sure this gets accomplished, to offset the counterproductive measures of that disengaged person. So what we're doing here with this distribution pie chart at the bottom is looking at what's the distribution, what's the fallout in your group of your engaged or disengaged population, and how does that help us diagnose how your group is doing? And then you can track that over time. Where are you seeing movement? Are you seeing people move from partially engaged to engaged? Are you seeing the disengaged group growing or the highly engaged growing? Right? You can really track how you're developing. So another piece of this then is, let's see, true measurement of health and culture. I've talked about that, and then also taking control of your engagement journey. And as I mentioned here, we're tracking that over time. So this is another slide from our standard reports, and this is again just showing kind of best practice for what we've measured. Anyone you're using as your vendor, anything you're doing internally, think about harnessing the power of this. We move from the different stages of looking at data, looking at quantitative metrics. We go from descriptive, so we're looking at item performance, to diagnostic. What does that mean? So we have the raw data. Now we're looking at how that compares, and then getting even into predictive. So we're looking at things like regression equation. We're looking at things like, what is this going to mean for us in the future? Where should we focus first? So it's helping you prioritize and guide your journey, really taking control and showing you where the impact is going to be, right? And then the last piece is what are successful organizations doing, and what they're making sure that they have is this taking action based on that feedback. So we've got all the data. How do we make sure this doesn't go stale? How many of you have tried to give reports, tried to give data, tried to use data, and thought, well, this is already 4 months old, right? My team has changed, things are different priorities, and it just goes by the wayside. Okay, no one raised their hand, that's fine. We had a gentleman here when we were here in May doing the same thing, and he said, we actually are using a pulsing strategy. We pulse once a week, and that data just goes into a closet. It's like we don't have time or energy to use it. It's like, so you're just reminding all of your employees every week to take their time to give you feedback, and then you're doing nothing with it. Like, that's even more damaging than not asking. I've seen the data on that as well. So we have a client right now who's using we've done a lot of analytics to make sure that their survey is working. We've done a lot of validation on it, some factor analysis to make sure it's really, again, tied tightly to their strategy. This is really the direction they want to go. It's working for them. So they know they can count on those items. So they bring those items back in pulses at really strategic milestones in the year, Q1, Q2, Q3, and they have kind of pre-filtered in the actions that they're going to take. So they're kind of Q1 is the season of teamwork or something, and they get all their managers ready to really tackle it once that data comes in. And so they can rely on those items, they can rely on that pulsing, and it never goes old, it never goes out of style. I want to pause here. I think I've really driven home. I'm seeing a little bit of nodding. Maybe you're just nodding off. But I think we're getting the point, Brittany. You can stop. About really having items in an instant that make sense. So I want to ask Lana, the lovely Lana, this morning from Foot Locker, can you tell us a little bit how Foot Locker thinks about your measurement strategy and having an instant that makes sense for you?
Yeah, sure. I will tell you that about 3 years ago, we actually reassessed our survey because we knew it wasn't aligned. We had made some internal changes. We had a new CEO come on board. Our strategy changed, so we knew we really needed to reassess the survey. So we actually did that. Our survey went from 63 questions, which was ridiculously long, down to 40 key questions. We also bucketed into 5 categories. So these categories were, key strategic categories. And I really think, to me, that made perfect sense doing that because now, and the way that we did it, in terms of the communication, because that's important too. You don't just want to start making these are big changes that we're making, to a survey that's implemented globally to 40,000 associates. So we really needed a good communication strategy as to why we were making these changes. So, we really did a good job, I think, as an organization, making that, sharing it with the CEO first. This is why we are proposing these changes, and then drilling that down so that everybody understood that the reason we're doing this is so that it aligns, to your point, Brittany, with our strategies. And now, we can all hold ourselves accountable as leaders, for working towards these strategies. And I think it lends itself more to accountability by the leaders when it aligns with something in the organization.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lana. It really sounds like what you're doing is having a strategy that draws people in instead of kind of sending them out, right? So it's a cascade that brings people together to kind of lockstep. A lot of organizations we work with use this as a vehicle to kind of unite. Like it's their yearly, let's all start communicating more, let's all get on the same page, let's take this opportunity to communicate what we care about, what makes it into those CEO messages, what makes it into the survey, is what people care about, right? People do what they're measured on, right? People do what they're rewarded for, right? So exactly, it needs to make it into that cadence. Thank you so much. Yeah, and one of the things you're doing really well also is this change management piece. Because one of the things I mentioned, we have this rigorous survey validation process. Again, so if you guys went through what we do with our clients on a 2 or 3 year basis, just because that's when you get kind of that level of data that you need to run those analyses. We had a client who'd been with us for a while, and we revalidated their study and did a factor analysis to make, who's familiar with that? I've said that like 4 times. That's fine. I have 2 stats on the side, I kind of love it. It's essentially just making sure that what you're measuring is having kind of the power of bang for the buck that you really think it is. That you're being most efficient with your items, they're performing at the level and telling you what you need to know at a high level of performance. Monster? Anyway, so we ran that and we came back to them and we said these are recommended items that you keep or lose, right? You want to scale your survey, you want to start being more intentional about it. So we provided those, and they said, okay, and this makes sense for our leadership team. We went through all that rigmarole. And then I thought, let me do a last-minute check. So what we do is we bridge our data. You get your reports, as I've shown. We bridge that to the action planning platform, where people can track and manage their action plans and progress and really see how that falls out together. And I looked at where action plans had been taken, and 2 of the items that we'd recommended for removal had a significant amount of action plans anchored against them. So people were taking action on those items. So it was important to them, although it didn't show up in the statistics. And so we decided for that year to leave those items in, but then pilot new items and phase them out and really help people manage off of those so that we could have more power in our survey. So it is about the qualitative and the quantitative. So moving on, we talked about having a solid measurement tool. Now let's talk about once you have that data, how do you even share that? Again, we've said that we can collect all this data, the project team's super excited and nerdy, but if leaders don't get it and they don't care about it, what's the big deal, right? So there's another thing I'm showing here. It's from another of my clients out on the West Coast, and really what he's saying is if we worry about the results, we don't have to worry about the participation rates. I have so many clients saying we need to get participation up, up, up. And it's really, okay, well, why should anyone take the survey? Do they see that we care about it? Do they see that it matters? And so when you honor their feedback, then they're going to reciprocate, right? So let's do another quick exercise with green, yellow, red. And at this point, it's really about your methodology and technology and supporting leaders. So when you say, okay, we've done a survey, okay, I have data, how are you bringing them into that process? Are they supported from a platform standpoint? Do they have personal onus of that process? Or are they just kind of a passive recipient? What's the expectation level there? So I'll pause for just a second so you can read this. But then I'll ask you, if you feel like you're in the green, if you feel like employee feedback and measurement reporting is flexible, it's accessible, it makes sense to leaders, they use it, raise your hand if you feel like you're in the green here. Okay, a few more hands. How about yellow? This is partially true for you. Again, room to improve, all right, and red. Okay. So a few more hands there. Maybe these exercises are working with stretching. This is like engagement yoga. Is that what this is? Okay. That's fine. You don't have to laugh at me. It's okay. I'm not in Second City, but
I'm not funny either, so sorry.
And with that, they all laughed. So. Great. And I'm just kind of cheating up my notes here. So what we're really thinking about, as I mentioned before, results can go stale. You can get a really powerful amount of data that tells you a lot, and that census experience is one of a kind. To measure everyone on the same things at once is going to give you such an oomph, right? It's hard to step away from that, but we also want to make sure that we're not losing out on measuring milestones, right? Getting people where they are, meeting them where they're sitting, and getting into real-time reporting. So one of the things that we've brought on is this interactive dashboard as well, with real-time results as they're completing the survey. The second the survey closes even, you can see how that's falling out. And so what is on the screen now, kind of just running through, is how we can look at that data, how we can look at those text analytics, that sentiment analysis, and really get a sense of what people are saying in the moment so they can take action. And what this means to me as a data nerd is, okay, I can start digging in. I don't have to wait. I don't have to delay. I can really honor this. As a leader who maybe it's not exciting to me to get a little PDF with these tiny graphs and I have to sort through it and I have to read the tea leaves to know what to do, this brings it forward for me. Now it's colorful. I can click on it. I can move things around. Right? We saw that nice word cloud. I can move through it. So it's a dynamic environment that's more engaging for the user, and usership does go up. Leader engagement does go up when we use this approach. I love that. I'm so happy to say that now. So the other things that we use are things like building in an index to the survey. Who knows what I mean when I say building in an index? Okay. What does that mean to you?
You use a number of items to measure a certain topic or aspect, such as employee engagement index. It's not just one question, it's 3 to 5 questions.
Exactly. So it's a dimension in the survey, right? So just like I mentioned, that engagement index, where you can say, okay, we have this set of items we know measures this construct, this dimension, this engagement, right? Or it could be culture. Or we weigh all the rest of the survey against it. What are predictors of engagement? What's influencing this, right? So we can help build custom indexes. And one of the other ways that we look at data differently is this best in class, and that's an internal best in class. Who's heard of this before? Okay, so this is an internal benchmark that we use with most of our clients, and so it's not just looking at. Well, I'll ask you guys, where do you think we look with the 10% segment? Where do you think we're looking for the best in class? And just to orient you guys to this image, the x-axis at the bottom is favorability, going from 0 to 100% favorability. And this size is group size, so your n size on the y-axis. So there's larger groups at the top, it's larger at the bottom. So where are we looking for what groups are your best in class?
Plus minus 1 standard.
Sorry?
Plus minus 1 standard deviation.
Plus or minus 1 standard deviation, that's good. Who has another guess? Is it then at 90 to 100, 95 to 100, top of the house? Okay. What we've learned to look at is this 80 to 90% favorability. Anyone guess how we do that? Not everyone at once?
You saw some examples of this. I mean, when you look at the number of successes participating, 90 to 100, it's quite small compared to the rest of the
Right.
ones that is actionable and doable.
Right, so she's saying that this area in the green has more people. It's just a larger sample size, so we can really get a sense of what's in there. So when we look at this group, what we're getting is what are they doing that's working? What's the secret sauce? The reason we go from 80 to 90 is because these are the people who are meeting an ambitious level of performance in the organization, but it's still achievable, right? At the top of the house, those are people who maybe haven't had any issues to deal with that are prevalent in the rest of the organization. So why is there a tarantula, or scorpion, excuse me, and a swan on the screen now? Well, I'll tell you a little bitty story. So using this best in class, we can really help identify what internal best practices are. Again, I mentioned that secret sauce with works for your organization. So in my past life, when I was working internally for Fortune 100, we had different distribution centers across the world, a lot in the US. And one of our distribution centers in Texas had a severe scorpion problem. Like scorpions were running rampant in their facility. And so when we did our engagement, Maslow's hierarchy. That was a test. Everyone's still stupid eyes? Okay, so who's familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Yeah, basically saying we need like food, water, air, security before you can move on to enlightenment, right? So probably remove the scorpions. Please get rid of the tiny dinosaurs or dragons or whatever in my workspace before you want me to work on engagement, right? Or team development or my personal goals. Like I don't want to talk about that until you deal with the scorpion problem. So if I went to the 90 to 100 percenters and said, what are you doing that works, leader? You have such good scores. Let's take what you're doing and take it to the scorpion people and just say, like, here's your solution. Do you think that's going to work? No. And when I go talk to people in the 90 to 100, when I do focus groups with them, maybe they've never had turnover. They have this amazing manager who brings them muffins and champagne on Sundays to let them know they love them. They all have east-facing views of the lake with swans, right? I can't take swans to a scorpion fight, is what this is. I can't take what's working for the creme de la creme and take it to the bottom half and bring up these groups. By the way, you mentioned distribution. There's a lot of large groups here in the 50 to 60% range. That's a lot of people walking into an environment every day that's suboptimal. So I want to know what's working for you to help bring that up, because what's working in your organization is what's really going to bring you into the future. Let's pretend that I had 2 clients 15 years ago, one of them's Best Buy, one of them's Circuit City. If Best Buy comes to me and they say, what is Circuit City doing? We want to know what Circuit City's doing so we can do that too. Is that really what they should be focusing on? No. In the future, we know it doesn't work out so well. So, focus on what you do well, what your secret sauce is, what your differentiator is, so that you can be a particular kind of talent magnet and you're not chasing these inauthentic strength opportunities, right? So external benchmarks are important, but internal benchmarks are as well. And with that, I really want to ask again, Walker, what is your take on how you get data to leaders and how that helps them get closer to action, right? How do you get them involved in the process?
Yeah, we actually, all of the data that we have actually is available to our leaders hands-on, so it's not like we distribute the reports to them. You know, they have control of all of the data that's out there, and it's at the click of a button, so it's really easy for them to access it, which I think is very helpful. So I think by them having that hands-on, I mean, that's one of the things that is really helpful. We don't really use the best in class. I mean, we use more external, so when they're comparing, they're comparing against the next level up within, so if they're in a function, they'll compare to the next level up as sort of their benchmark, and then of course to Foot Locker Inc. as a total company. So right now we're not really using a best in class, but that works for us. Again, you know, as Brittany said, you have to do sort of what works for you, and I think that works very well for us, as long as they have something to sort of compare to. I think that's really key. You know, so I think having that data at their fingertips is really the best way. They love that. That's new for them. We used to do it. We used to control all of it. We used to hand out paper reports. I mean, so we've really, I think, evolved a lot. You know, recognizing that we had some opportunity, you know, to do things a little bit better.
you guys do a great job. Like, I know when I give you the data reports, you guys are just experts at getting it to everybody. So
Yeah, we also have, one thing that does work for us as well, now that you're saying that, is we do have a team. So, it's sort of a team of engagement champions. And those basically are the HR people for each of those functions or divisions that we have, because we're a big organization. And they're sort of the HR champions, and they'll sort of be responsible for ensuring that the leaders are meeting accountability. They're really sort of the partner that every team works with. So we do sort of a train the trainer with that team. That's what I do with them, just to make sure that they're very familiar with how to interpret the data, so that they can help their leaders. And ensuring that they understand the action planning tool and all of those different things, which I know you talk about. So they're really the sort of person. So it's not just me there for all of these 40,000 people. They have somebody that they can go to partner with to help them to interpret data, to help them, whenever they need it.
Absolutely. And what you're doing there is what I'm hearing is you're tying this culture together from so many different levels, right? So things that we don't do on our own. When I think about it, it's, if there's not a house in place, there's not a structure already there to support what we're doing, that's when you build the framework. You get the scaffolding around it. So we'll provide you with reports, we give you the platform, the technology, and then you bring in the culture piece where they have a leader, they have a person of influence saying this is what's important, here's how we support you, right? That's how you know you're in a culture. That's how I know I'm in New York City. I see the cars, I hear the honking, I meet the people, I get the smells, right? It's that whole experience that brings it together. If I only get a report and I get a dashboard access, but no one talks to me about it, I'm not going to spend any time. Right? But if I get a bunch of people saying, you need to do this, you need to do this, and I'm not equipped with anything, again, I'm not going to do it. Thank you so much. You guys do a great job, seriously. Don't let them leave the building without talking. Okay. I just gushed. Yeah, we're going to sleep under these tables. With that, we've been chatting for a while, you might have noticed. Okay, it's fine, I'm talking. So we're going to get into small groups, and what I want to know from you guys, we talked about how we deal with these issues, but now let's bring those issues kind of to life and get to see what else is going on, because we walked in here today with a head full of what we're facing into. It's nice to have some perspective of what others are facing into and see what's common, what's different, and maybe have some aha moments together. So if we can get into groups, it looks like most tables are probably okay. Why don't you two join the schedule, if you don't mind?
You can move your stuff too. I see. I didn't mean to make you move out of your house. Just gonna be here, and then
Maybe if the back table.
yeah. Would you mind joining this table just for this exercise? You can leave your stuff. Would that be okay? Okay, the family here. I think that pretty much gets us in a good.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you, Kristen.
Except the facilitator trainer and me.
You were on it with those boots. Have you guys seen her?
No,
They're
channeling
your brave.
Okay. Courtney Love days.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you can talk about boots. You can talk about current issues you're facing into, whatever gets your trips to trigger this morning. I'm from Texas originally. I can say that. So I'll give you guys about 8 minutes to discuss this, and then we're going to come back and debrief. So myself, Lana, Christy, we're going to all kind of respond and digest what we're hearing from the group, and we'll talk through some of these things that you're facing into. So with that, I will be quiet. Please discuss.
Correct.
Yes, there is no issues.
Big performance. So now we need to how we we're fortunate that we had a pipeline.
Is the paper here or is it? Cyprus, so we have lovely island. Not anymore, so we're similar types of fundamentals. They fill out the survey in a way that I did go through those slides.
Channel water or getting to that digital side. There's a lot of I'm not out there right now. Everyone's trying to figure that out. Unless you're like dressed before Amazon that is so well established around how we're working on some very championship. Exactly. So we're actually I did a lot. We started training those that shopping a bunch of data and trying to go around
actually think some really clear, like, yeah, so it's, so again, it wasn't a conversation of the helpful, like, it wasn't a debate, but
Or he sets up in your building.
You're a co-author. I have this thing else about it.
Okay, so one more minute. We'll come together. 1 minute.
You know, they're not very probably
Well, it's stores. Right. Considering competition, many of them are retail. Or something brands.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. All right. Let's turn our attention back up here to the front. I appreciate you guys taking the time to chat about that. It's definitely large and small and honestly safe. So, what's on the screen now as kind of just a guide to a debrief is 2 things from each table. So what are some of the things that you heard that were kind of big takeaways? What are issues that were new or common? What are you going to leave here today remembering? Okay. So let's make sure that we get to share some of that. And I'll start at this end of the room. If that's all right. Are you guys ready?
Well, I don't think we ended up talking about all the issues, and I don't think we ended up talking about the takeaways.
That's okay. So that's all right. We'll do it now. So what are some things that you talked about?
Well, so we started small nonprofits.
Service small nonprofits. Okay.
So we were talking about each of our clients, what we've done so far, and surveys, and what some of the surveys have been used for, not being used for.
Okay. So some of the surveys that you've been doing and how they're used or not used, and kind of what that journey's been. Were there some things that you're all facing into that's kind of consistent throughout these experiences, or anything that's really divergent?
I think the most common is the pushback, right? Like not getting impact.
Oh, so some pushback from management.
What's their reaction when they receive results? What do they want to do with it?
Yeah, reaction when they receive results. I hear that all the time. Like, I can't take this to them. How do I couch this? Is there sugar I can sprinkle on this? Yeah. Anything else?
I think also just data in general is something that, like you could do so much with it. I think that's also like managers or people in general just don't know what to do with data.
Right. Sometimes data in itself can be a language not everyone's comfortable with, right? So pushback from managers with the results don't say what they want to say, or tells them something they're not equipped to deal with, or even the language is presented. Give them a bunch of numbers and that's not their strong suit, that can be derailing in itself. Raise your hand if that sounds familiar. Yeah, so this is a table of nonprofits, and I've certainly heard it from my for-profit companies, even my more mature organizations I work with sometimes. It's a pretty prevalent issue. I'll come to this table next. Are you guys ready? Okay, so what are some takeaways that you had, or just some common themes that you heard when you were discussing what you're facing into these days?
Yeah, so again, it is with, thank you, and then it's the ones you're presenting it to, what you perceive and what they perceive, and you're getting the message and really utilizing it.
Yeah.
Challenge.
So perceptions of data, what it means to you. So yeah, when I walk in to do an executive presentation and I throw a 72 up on the screen, some people are like, well, that's terrible, and some people, so yeah, perceptions. There's lies, damn lies, and statistics, right? Absolutely. You need to tell, again, bring it into a story, give it context. That makes so much sense. Anything else from this table? Thank you.
So we talk a lot about even with new talent entering organizations, so engagement, how do you integrate new talent into an organization, especially when there's quite a bit of hiring, so a lot of new talent pools in. How do you engage right away, ensure that that first experience is that positive experience? How do you even just manage all of that kind of coming together? So acquisitive talent can be a rigorous process, that can be lengthy, take a lot of time. How do you make sure that that becomes seamless, integrated in? And then we also talked about, I work with Lana, so, we're lucky enough to have pretty favorable engagement, but then it's how do you then maintain that higher engagement, and especially in an industry that's seeing significant change. So how do you maintain that knowing that there is external change and internal change that's happening?
Right. So in a high change environment, maybe with turbulence, and you're getting new talent in all the time, making sure you're living up to that standard of having an engaged workforce, getting them involved in that process right away, getting them kind of on the employee value proposition train early on. Right, absolutely. Thank you. And my you can wait, nudge, nod, because she's doing a lot. Free shoes for you? No. Anything else from this table?
I think the velocity of also hiring, particularly for business needs, the conflict that the pace of business continues to accelerate when HR's budgets don't get any bigger. We don't get more staff, we don't get more of much, and yet time frames continue to consolidate. So seeing those realities, we still have to do background check, we still have to do every interview. We really do want to interview everyone right before they get in the door, and that continuous relationship. But if there's a solution where data can be provided, I think that's a great exploration where we're going to predict better successes. Those who experience the department orientation at the right time, company orientation at the right time. I think that's an interesting conversation.
Right. So I'm hearing a little bit of thank you so much of being really intentional and forward thinking when you think about that onboarding process, and how do we really get the touch points here to make sure they're successful, but then also we're really getting the best people here, and that we start them right away, so we short cycle that getting to know each other. Yeah, absolutely. Who struggles with that? Is that universal? Is it just this guy? No, I know my company struggles with it personally. Yeah, I worked somewhere. My first job out of grad school was we had, among the cubicles, created this little binder of what you need to know when you start, and we're on the down low passing it to new hires because there was no formal process. It was ridiculous. So yeah, that happens everywhere. Absolutely. Thank you. And part of our engagement process again is to capture what's important. So when someone comes in, what's this company all about? What's Foot Locker all about? I'll show you. Look at that poster. That's our engagement results from last quarter, right? Here's what we care about. They're going to come talk to you about this. We've got action plans against these things. It's this whole matrix of your talent management strategy, your people strategy, and what's important to you and how you live into that every day. Absolutely. We're about halfway through. I want to pause. Panel, what are you hearing? Christy, Lana, are you hearing things that are familiar? Do you have any feedback out to the group?
I'm definitely hearing things that are familiar. I mean, the whole storytelling piece, I think, is key. What you do with that data. I think sometimes it can be dangerous if you have too much information, so you really have to, pay attention to the information that you're including in that survey and how you're presenting those results, because you don't want information overload, because then it'll be too much and they won't know what to do with the data, because not everybody is good at interpreting it and telling those stories, and then it's just data on a page. So we're very, when we present to, like I said, each leader has their own information to share with their teams, but we also present to our executive team, and when we're presenting to our executive team, we make sure that it's really concise. We only highlight the key things, and we're telling a story. What themes are we seeing? How is this different? What are we doing to work towards, these opportunities as a company? What are some things that we did really well last year? So we're trying to provide information once we present non-information overload.
Yes. So who here sits in the C-suite? Anyone? Well, not to insult anybody, certainly in C-suite, but sometimes I hear people talk about C-suites, not me, not my friends, but sometimes they talk about it's like herding cats. Just get their attention for 5 seconds and then tell them what you want them to know. That's all the time they have, right? They're so inundated with information. Like, you get your point, if you don't make it, it's done. So with that, I'll stop. How about this table? Building trust to give honest feedback, yes. What are some things that you've heard around that? What are some ideas or some pitfalls?
Well, one of it is that your culture? Because you're not asking these questions. Is an engagement survey going to impact?
Yep. When you say timing, what do you mean?
So don't plan it within a restructure time.
So we're laughing because it was don't plan your engagement survey like during a restructure time. How confident are you in future organization? Well, not knowing else. Yeah, absolutely. So we're hearing about, do you have a culture of trust? Do you have a place where people feel like they can really share their honest feedback? Because if it's not honest, then you're operating on false data, and that's a whole other distribution center folks working with to trust. How about this table? What were some common themes or aha takeaways for us?
I think what was interesting for us was we kind of have a full span of different size companies, and 100 to thousands, and you know how you interpret that as a
So large data, small data, ever-changing data, right? Who's familiar with the 4 B's of big data? Who's heard big data? Who's been told in HR we're supposed to care about big data? Yeah. It's starting to pop up. So anyone want to guess what the 4 B's of big data are? Volume, big, right? Velocity, right? So how quickly that's changing. Veracity, so like the change, or variety was the amount of air, and veracity, like how accurate it is, right? So those are the 4 B's. That's how you can tell if you're big data or not. I could have 1 million numbers in my data set. If they're all 3s, that's not helpful. And that's just a total arbitrary data. But yeah, so when we're talking about big data versus small data and how you manage that, it certainly is a different approach. So talking about the organizational level, even to your team, it's a So what we're hearing now is there's definitely diversity within the table, private, publicly owned, different sizes, and they're hearing over and over that if you don't have buy-in from the top of the house, nothing's really going to get done. People looking around saying, this is important to me, but I'm not hearing this echoed in the hallways or talking about it in town halls, anything like that. Am I alone? Right? It's hard to do something if you're on an island or you're just on life around. Panel, as you heard the kind of last half of the room, any other thoughts, anything else you want to share about what you heard in reactions?
I think what the last table said in particular is critical, to have the buy-in. I know in our company we're very fortunate. Our CEO is extremely bought into the process. I mean, he always, when we get those results back, he presents an overview of the company's results to the entire organization in our quarterly presentations that he does, which is, I think, a great testament to the fact that he's bought in, and it's really important to him as an organization, which in turn then all of the functional leaders then present this data to their teams because they know how important it is to the CEO. So they're now presenting it, and they're working with their teams, the same way. So I think that is critical, and I do think the partnership that you said between the CEO and the CHRO, I think that's a really important partnership. That's what
Everything you're saying, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, raise your hand if you think we spend the Cosmic Week, if lots of money is spent on leaders in organizations. Yes, I can tell you millions of dollars across my clients is spent on leaders. Who are your best leaders? Your engaged leaders or your disengaged leaders? You're engaged, yeah. Is it easy to stay an engaged leader in an organization where your boss or your boss's boss doesn't care about you being engaged? No, you're going to leave. How expensive is it when your engaged leader leaves? That's very expensive. They're a culture driver. They're a mover shaker. They're the people who are keeping up. Who's stayed at a job because their boss was great? Yeah, so it just has this huge ripple effect. So the top of the house makes a big difference. Thank you so much. Here it is. All right, so with that, we're going to keep the party moving. So we talked about solid measurement. Once you can rely on your instrument, you can get so much done. When you know what's tied to what's important to you, you know you're making moves. When you can share that information out to your leaders, you know they're empowered and capable to share that out. But again, you have to put your hand on it. You're my frontline manager. Here's all this data. I'm going to give you access to a dashboard. You're empowered. Bye. Is that helpful? Not all the time. So let's talk about bringing leaders into the equation, and we're going to bring Second City in to do some really awesome exercises in just a moment. Pressure is building me up. It's going to change your life, mental. So this is the last quote I'll share this morning, but it's if you have their be-in, you don't need to worry about their buy-in. This is coming from a CEO of one of my newest clients. And we were talking about how do you get leaders involved, and are you going to need a really sophisticated change management strategy to get leaders involved, and how delicate white glove do you need to be with your leaders? And he's like, I'll just tell them they have to do it. I'll just tell them they have to do it, and I'll do it, and everyone will just do it. And he's like, if I have their be-in, I don't need to worry about their buy-in. He's like, if they start doing it and they start seeing the fruits of it and they get involved, they'll start believing in this because we're all going to do it. And I thought, all right, well, that's pretty bold. I've never heard someone say that before, but I like it for the end of this life. All right, so let's do one last red, yellow, green. To what extent are you using post-survey tools and actions to increase engagement and leader accountability? So again, this is not just reports. This is maybe an action planning platform. Are you tracking action planning? Is there accountability after the fact? How do you keep the conversation going? In essence, how are you not letting it die with the reporting out of results? So who feels like they keep it going? Who's in the green? Raise your hand. A few more hands. I think there's like one more green that might have to go. How about yellow? Who keeps it going a little bit? I've heard some engagement teams, the project teams, say this is the most disengaging project they have during the year. Who's in the red? Who needs to keep it going more? Okay. Nope. That's fine. We're going to talk about it anyway. Okay. So here's some of our insights, and it's giving ownership to the leaders. And I'm going to show you a clip in just a moment from another of my choice clients from Enterprise Rent-A-Car. They've really gotten into this leader-led approach. I think some of you may have heard about that. We'll talk about it in a moment. And I'm just looking at my notes here as well. But really getting into a listening strategy and continuous listening. Who's heard that term, continuous listening? What does that mean to you, continuous listening? Someone heard about it?
Just when you listen, you're actively listening, and you follow up, not because it's on a dialogue basis, but because you care and you're interested, and you listen throughout the time of your employee life cycle, your relationship.
Right. So you're listening because you care. It's not just because you have this cadence or this dialogue. Okay, well, it sounds like you have pinpoints in the calendar if that's not continuous, right? It's a real relationship. If I only call my best friend on designated days, are we really solidifying that relationship? Are we bonding and reconnecting? Yes or no? Yes? No? Okay. You're really good at voting verbally. So I want to share this with you. Who's done a plank exercise? Not like the plank, I don't have core. Okay, so this is an exercise that I used to do in another past life. I did some executive coaching. And we bring in C-suite and senior management level groups, probably about 10 people in a group. They get an individual executive coach, of which I was one. But we did like to bring them in groups and just see how they interact, take initiative. How do you cooperate, right? How are you getting people involved? And in one of them, we had this experience exercise. We brought these planks. You'll see they're kind of long pieces of wood. They've got little notches in them like Lincoln Logs. And we have them build this shape, and we showed them the shape once, and they took it away and said, okay, just build it. It's meant to be difficult. It's meant to be physical. It's meant to take about 2 hours. And what I noticed is the higher up in the organization they were, the longer they sat there like this. I don't know what that does. I have no clue what that is. Well, what are those? Well, I don't know. I'm in charge of these long ones. You tell me when the short ones are ready. Right? It took them forever. They were risk averse. They weren't cooperating. And then one guy over there like this. I've got better things to do. What's on my, whatever. Blackberries wants to have it. Have we seen that in organizations? Hesitant. This analysis paralysis, right? There's only so many thousands more ways I want to slice the data before I can take action. I'm not sure what this does. I don't know how these fit together, so I'm not going to touch it yet. I need to know more before I can do anything. The lower in the organization I got, the more quickly they were to just grab things and start trying it. What happened when they put two pieces together that didn't belong together? Yeah, they burst into flames. Yeah, they were punished for their evil ways. No, it was fine. They just, okay, this doesn't work. I'll put that down. We'll try something else. Now I know more about this piece, and I know how to use them later when I'm ready for it. Right? Does that make sense? Right? So trying something and being transparent about it works. So when I do action planning training with companies, some of what I'm sharing with them when we go through this story is it's okay to try something and be transparent about it. Say, I've never done this and put this and this together. But you gave me feedback that you wanted something to change. So I commit to trying it, to bringing you into it, bringing you into the story, you're going to be part of it. I commit to trying it, and in a week we're going to come back and see what worked. What worked and what didn't. And we'll take what worked, we'll keep going with that, and we'll take what didn't work, and we'll change that. What's that called? I asked you the very first question I asked this morning. That's continuous improvement. That's checking and adjusting. That's being agile. That's quick to prototype. That's really getting into the spirit of what it means to have this continuous listening and continuous improvement lifestyle. And now leaders don't have to sit and wait until they have 100 data points to do something. They can just say, I've got some valid feedback, let's start trying something. And that's how you build a culture of trust, by the way. I heard you, I'm doing something about it. Versus I heard you, I will decide whether or not we do anything. And then there's this last piece I've talked about earlier, is this cycle, right? So measuring throughout the year, not letting it go stale. Thinking this to clients, what I say is, if you know what items are coming at different parts of the year, you can start prepping leaders to do that. So instead of, hey Lana, here's 60 items all at once, action plan on the feedback from these 60, it's here's 18, here's 12. And by the way, in 3 more months, we're going to give you 12 more items. And here's what those 12 are going to be. If those are high or low, let's start helping you decide what you're going to do about that, so you're ready when the time comes. Right? Versus jump all at once, everybody, in different directions. Right? It's kind of like we can get all of our leaders on the teamwork train, all of our leaders on the culture train. Does that make sense? All right. Let's bring it together more with this very quick clip from
where all of this lands is, we have to think about this, about what's the one common denominator. If you looked at all those slides, there was really a word that stands out, and it's manager. I said we've got over 9,000 locations, 14,000 managers. We have to rely and capitalize on what our managers do out there. Again, it's a great company. You go about utilizing that power is they have to be actively engaged in every single thing we do. We do very little from the top at enterprise. We may set the expectation, but we don't build action plans. That happens at the local level because we're such an autonomous organization. We're so decentralized. And the great news is now looking back, when I go out and spend time with the operators and the team that I'm part of, it really does make it easy to walk into an operation with a manager and look at their retention, or look at their service, or look at their growth, or look at their profitability, and where they're not performing, I can have these exact same conversations with them. They don't look at this as an HR initiative. In fact, I would say at enterprise, we don't have any HR initiatives. We only have operational initiatives that are supported by a variety of different departments, one of which happens to be HR. So this is not something that HR does. This is something we assist with. They take ownership because they see how, if they can drive engagement based on the items that we showed in the slides, they see the correlation to them running a successful business, which means happy customers, leads to happy employees because they're making money and they have promotional opportunities.
Thank you.
So that was
21. Excellent.
okay. So awesome. So I love working with Moon. That was last year at the Human Capital Conference. Human Capital Institute conference. Just heard of HCI? Yeah. So we go to their conference every year. I was there this year with Moon was there again, and we had 2 other clients with us. Her side at Compass Group. I think Compass is here this morning. You can make it. Hi. Yeah. So Veronica Ospina was with us there. She's famous to me. Veronica Ospina. It's fine. So she's who I'm working with in Charlotte on the project. So she joined us, and Curbside Foods is a food packaging distributor in the Midwest. So diverse group, enterprise from all over. But it was nice to hear their stories, and small, medium, large company, again, they're having the same things. And when Moon last year said this about we don't have HR initiatives, we have leader-led initiatives, it was kind of like a mic drop moment. I was like, you can just walk off. Everyone's jaw was like, so, and that was 2 years ago. So yeah, thinking about HR often is just shouldering the burden of that, and really this is about empowering leaders to carry that forward. Is my direct engaging experience led by my CEO, or is it led by my immediate manager and their peers? My immediate manager, and then it's owned by me too. Have we heard about individual engagement? Okay, that might be coming. You might be hearing about that soon. But there's a part about the employee even having onus in that journey. Right? So it really is a grassroots movement. It's a grassroots experience that starts at home for the employee. And by home, I mean like your home team, where you shower and sleep and eat. Anyway, I digress. So I love what Moon is saying about it's really with the leaders where this lives. And so to help us with the leader experience then and bringing that up to speed, I'm going to invite Chrissy West to come back up. And thank you so much, Lonnie. You can stay up here. You can join. We're going to do the extras. Lots of energy. All right. Huh? I said I would get it on. Yeah, absolutely. So the TNS side really, as I've said, is about that data gathering, data mining, really pointing out where the hot spots and bright spots are in the organization to know where to take action and guide those efforts. But then where the rubber meets the road is really also Christy West.
Again, pressure. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking because that's one of the things we don't like to do is just talking. We like to do things and have experiences with you. So that's my goal. But I've been told that I love to jump into the action and I don't actually earn the right. So I'm going to earn the right. I started doing improv 17 years ago in Atlanta because I thought it was about comedy, thought it was about being funny. I grew up in a house where my dad wouldn't let us watch TV, and I had 2 sisters. We were very much the same age, so we had to make stuff up. And we did. And we just played. And we made stuff up. And we were different characters. And that's how I grew up. So improv was really natural to me. And I thought, again, it was about making people laugh. I quickly realized it was not. And that's why I always say there's second city, and then there's second city works, and we're the business arm. I love comedy. But like I said, when I started improv, I quickly realized that the art of improv has nothing to do with being funny. So first off, if you thought that when you heard you were doing improv today, first off, did anybody get a little nervous? Right? Just be honest, it's okay. You don't have to be funny. So the pressure's gone. Because what I found out is about 5-6 years into my improv training that there was actually a methodology here about how do you treat each other. And so the best way I've over the years, the last 17 years, got to explain sort of why this matters. Why does this matter today? Why do we work with Kantar? Why are we here? Is to explain the very basics of improv. And it goes like this. If 2 people walk out on stage to do a scene together, they don't have a script, they don't have anything. All they have is what they have. Does that sound a little bit scary? Like you are literally walking into the unknown. So the only things that you have to use to make this work is your human-to-human skills. Listening to each other, making that other person more important than yourself, abandoning your agenda. So if I walk out on stage and I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna be a mom, because I do a really good mom, and I'm gonna be from New Jersey because I love that dialect. And I just scripted the whole thing, and then I walk out on stage, I left my partner with nothing. So you really have to be okay with walking out with nothing. And that's uncomfortable. That's why when you train as an improviser, you're learning to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, You are forced to listen. You are forced to create something with another person and abandoning all agendas and just doing it with what each of you have to offer. And you're just tapping into all of these skills that as humans we think we do well, but we really don't, on a regular basis. So 5-6 years into my improv training, I'm practicing all these skills all the time and just thinking, I'm going to be so funny, I'm going to go join Tina Fey on SNL. That did not happen. But what did happen is I started to turn a corner professionally. I was in sales in Atlanta for 15 years in business-to-business sales. I started to notice that my clients didn't care as much about my PowerPoint skills or my product knowledge as they cared about and valued how I interacted with them. Could they trust me? Am I being authentic? Am I listening to them? Am I abandoning my agenda and putting their needs first? All of these things I was learning on stage. And I was like, holy crap, I need to do this. I need to share this with other people, because the other side of what we do is, and what Brittany's been talking about today, is culture, environments. Why are they so toxic? Why are they so miserable sometimes? Why are we not happy at work? Why do we leave our jobs? We literally live with these people. And if we don't treat each other in the right ways, if we're not listening to each other, respecting each other, and putting other people before, ourselves, it's not a great environment to work in. So I'm in sales, I'm learning improv, and I'm in a lot of toxic environments. And I literally just woke up one day and said, this is what I have to do. I have to do this work to help people be better at their jobs and happier at their jobs. So there's two sides of it. There's a skill building side and there's a cultural side of it. And so I don't rehearse these things when I get up. I kind of try to fill the room. And that's what I thought you guys needed to hear, if anything, about what we do and why it's important and why we're about to do some things that you thought were about being funny. This is how I made it make sense. So true to improv, I just kind of made all that up. It's in my head. I just didn't know what I was going to tap into. So what we're going to do today, first off, any questions? Because it's really important, after doing this for 17 years, that you guys understand how improv can relate to life and work. Any questions? So I did an okay job of connecting those dots? Okay, because I could go on for like 3 more hours. I love this work. But what we're going to do is actually practice. And are you going to move? Yeah, there you go. I'm going to hand off to Brittany until she's ready for our first exercise.
Sure. So we're just blending these worlds together for you this morning. And as I mentioned, I, as the vendor, as the report getter, the data nerd, I can say, move this up 4 points, and it'll make a big impact. It's predicted to increase performance or productivity by X amount. But if you're not then able to make those shifts, make those changes, you're kind of stuck. So I love what Christy brings in helping that rubber meet the road. And so we're aligning exercises so you can really practice these things and practice bringing these ideas to life through the stages that you would experience in the survey. So first thing we're going to do is, I just went to that so I can see, is the experience of getting the survey results. So the first time you see the data and you're confronted with that information. And then when you need to really understand what's important, why are we caring about this? And then moving into ideas for action. This looks backwards. I'm like trying to cheat out the window. I'm really sorry. So ideas for action. So digesting then the information, working through your reactions, getting to what's important, and then saying, how are we going to make moves on this? What's the action then? And then the last piece of kind of bringing it all together, making sure it's sustainable and everyone's involved in that, in fact. So it's part of their daily experience in the team. Again, what's like to walk into a team and one person's head is engaged, one person's engaged. Right, we're going to work on how you can change the team dynamic through engagement. So we got a series of exercises we're going to take you through. And this first one, so if you're at a table and you've got even numbers so you can pair up in twos, you're great. If not, as we do these, just find somebody. And hey, it's awesome to find somebody you don't know, that you haven't worked with. Not at your table or your little posse. So yeah, feel free to move around. This is highly interactive, totally informal. And the first exercise we want to do is kind of lends well to a lot of the things we've talked about today and what I was just describing. One of the first things you learn in improvisation is you have to listen. If I didn't hear what you just said, I don't even know how to react to it.
And we find in business, in corporate environments, we think we're good listeners, but usually we're not. And the reason we're not is because there's a lot of pressure. You're at work, you want to look good, you've got shit to do, sorry. I just curse, sorry. You've got stuff to do, and listening to somebody is actual work. That is a skill. It's not a soft skill, it's a hard skill. So we want to just kind of practice that, because when it comes to survey results, when it comes to doing these surveys and talking to people internally, either about the results, or you're giving feedback or receiving feedback, listening is very, very important. So we want to kind of emphasize that with a neat little improv exercise. So find one person to work with. So we'll be in pairs for this. If you have to stand up and move around, that's fine. Not all at once, everybody, but yeah, I think standing would be good, because if we stand up, a little blood will flow to our brain and wake us up a little bit. It's science, guys. It'll give us a little bit of energy. I want you leaving here ready to run a marathon and not fall asleep. So, okay, so if you find a partner and face them, why don't we do something fun and say the person in your pair with the longest hair will go first. So in your pair, person with the longest hair, raise your hand. All right. Does everybody have a partner? Does everybody have a partner? Yep. Okay, cool. So you're going to go first, your partner A. And in this exercise, partner A, person with the longest hair, you're just going to make an offer, any offer to your partner. It can be something about the program today, what you had for breakfast. Random, don't even think about it too much. So you're going to make an offer to your partner, and they are to respond to you by starting their sentence only with the last word spoken by you. So it would go something like this: hey Brittany, the breakfast was just fantastic this morning.
Morning is my favorite time of day. I really enjoy getting out into the world.
World peace is so cool.
Cool days like today really make me want to get into a jacket and go to work.
All right, so pretty simple, right? So partner A, you're going to start, make an offer, and it goes like that. And I will stop you after a couple of minutes. And so you may begin.
Oh, you cried. Oh my goodness. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the heads up. I don't know alcohol. I am so glad that this is
Try some improv? You want to try some improv activities? I'm improvising everything.
And see, that's what we say when it's time to stop. If I had a cowbell or something, I could bring it. So you may have a seat, because we're just going to take a couple of minutes to unpack this and talk about it. It's going to go a little bit more weight too. So would anybody who else be willing or volunteer to talk about how that exercise felt? How did it go? Discoveries, surprises, comments?
We went in circles. We wrote the same word again and again.
Oh wow, I don't think I've ever heard that. So you guys just kept the last word being the same?
Well, similar.
Okay. How did the conversation itself feel?
It wasn't a big conversation.
Okay.
Just joined in the sense of the thoughts. We didn't think more.
You felt like you had to think more?
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't become a little bit of work when you're actually listening. And I mean that in the best way. Did anybody feel anything other than what we've already talked about that you want to share with the group? Simple little exercise, but.
Oh. I was just going to say that I found myself very conscious of that last word, that it ended up making it too awkward for her to have a reply, just because I didn't
You were going where I was going. So I was going to say, just like she mentioned, Did anybody intentionally think of maybe helping by setting their partner up with an easy word? Did anybody? So there's always a few in the room. This is who I want on my side when I need a friend. Okay, very conscientious of making sure you were trying to set your partner up for success. Now, who did the opposite? It's okay if you didn't. Who intentionally tried to set their partner up for success? I feel like the look on your face is saying not intentional. It was just natural.
Naturally awful.
Oh, so it's okay if you do. We always have some mischievous folks in the room. They're like, I did. I was totally trying to set them up for failure, which is fine. Anything else? Did you find that, obviously you were kind of forced to listen? And then how did that feel weird or different? What do you? I think that's right. But can you imagine every conversation that you have with the folks you work with where you think to yourself, I'm going to have to repeat their last word before I speak? Like that, just that act itself puts you in a whole different sort of frame of mind. We often follow this exercise up with a thing we call pause, where you have to wait 5 seconds before you respond. And people just go nuts. That was eternity. It's so uncomfortable. I was like, so what you're saying is that when someone speaks to you, you are uncomfortable letting that land. Just letting it land so you know how you might want to respond. Pause for a second. Take it in and then respond. So who here thinks they're a good listener? Just show of hands. Who here thinks that they're a good listener? Right? I tell my husband all the time I'm a good listener. Yeah. So who here thinks they're a horrible listener? I've been doing this for 17 years, and I can admit that I have a hard time. It's something I always have to work on. Why do you think that we have trouble listening at work, specifically at work in your day-to-day work? A lot on your mind. Yeah.
No, I'm just going to say the same thing, just the lines and things that you were concerned about on your mind. Yeah, what's going on or something.
So, yes.
I think also for some characters, like you always going to problem solving mode, and then when you're solving a problem, you're actually listening. Right? Because you're like already 10 steps ahead, and then you just missed a whole lot of context.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. I mean, I am a horrible listener, and I admitted that. Am I a horrible person? No, I'm trying to help. But I'm trying to help, I'm not listening because I'm trying to fix whatever's going on. And a lot of us do that. So it's very important when you're giving feedback. We work with a lot of organizations that Brittany has worked with on the front end doing surveys, where we go in and do trainings before they get the results of their surveys, so that their managers and the folks in the organization are cognizant of how important it is to, when giving that feedback, let them have a response, take a pause, let it hit, let it land, before you come out with what you need to say. Because oftentimes, we're just listening to respond. We're not listening to understand. We've got something incredible we want to say, so we're forgetting the words of what they're saying. And just filling a room here. Brittany loves it when I go off focus. But I want you guys just in your seats to think of maybe 2 people that you know in your life that you feel like are great listeners. You go to them when there's a problem, you just find yourself, you're magnetically attached to this person when it comes to when you want somebody just to talk to you, or you notice that when you do talk to them that you thoroughly enjoy that experience. Does everybody have at least 2 people in their heads? If you don't, please give me your phone number after this event, because I'm going to be your friend. If you can't think of 2 people in your life that listen to me. What'd you say?
You're a backlist because you...
I'm a backlist! You're right! He was listening. I'll find somebody to listen to. So 2 people, right? Out of those 2 people, do they at least fit into one of these categories? Liked by you, loved by you, respected by you. They probably fit into all 3, right? The 2 people that you thought of. Liked by you, loved by you, respected by you. What does that tell you about listening? love people that listen. You like people that listen. You respect people that listen. Those two people that you thought of, what are they doing when you're talking to them that tells you that they're listening? What kind of things are they doing that make you feel like, wow?
It's also like not to be distracted by being on a phone or a computer and actually attention is to you as you're having a conversation, which is the nature of sex. You have this conversation, tune out everything else, and make eye contact.
Yes.
They're not solving the problem, they're asking the question.
Yes. They're not solving your problem, they're asking you questions. What other characteristics do those two people that you thought of have? Yes.
They're not speaking over you when you're like letting them know whatever your problem is. They're actually listening and not just trying to interrupt whatever it is that they think might be best.
Right. Do you feel like you're just the most important person in the world? I always, when I do that exercise, I think the same two people, and I'm like, I like talking to them because I feel important. They act like nothing else is going on. They're locked into my eyes, and they're nodding their head when they're talking to me, like they're hanging on to every word. And I'm like, I am not this cool. But they make me feel that way. That's why I keep going back to it. Can you imagine your managers and leaders in your company possessing that kind of power, that their people can't wait to talk to them because they're such good listeners? It's rare. It's rare, but it does exist. And to sum this whole thing up and move on to the next exercise, I said I was a horrible listener, but I practice. And I'm okay sometimes, and I'm more cognizant of it sometimes when I go into those situations where I know it's more important for me to listen. And it does take practice. And you have to be able to say, hey, I might not be a great listener all the time, but I will walk out of conversations and realize sometimes, hey, I didn't do a great job. And at least realizing that. And even sometimes I go back to people and say, I'm sorry, during that thing I was not a good listener. And that's not a good way to be, and I'm sorry for that. So we shall move on to this next category. Do you want to tee it up?
Sure do. Yeah, and I love what you were saying, because the experience you're talking about when you're with someone who's a good listener, that's how we build trust and engagement for employees. That should be the employee experience. And what you're talking about, respect, love, like, that's how we want people to feel about their managers. Those are leader qualities. And again, that's how you build trust and communicate that this is a place that you're going to want to come to work and exert that discretionary effort and be connected, right, engaged. So I love this as this kickoff exercise, because when we're talking about just sharing out those initial results, a lot of people think, okay, that's me, like, sharing it all out. But really, it's about listening. It's about the first step in honoring that feedback that you got. So it's really, it's the sharing part is actually the listening part. And I love that. So the next piece then is going to be, here we go, what's really important. So what's really important is coming in and saying, okay, we've got this mountain of data. Let's get to really the root cause. Let's get to what you really care about in this piece. And let's not have that noise of my reaction to it. Because maybe it's negative feedback. Maybe it's something I'm working on. Maybe it's something I didn't see coming. And you need to move past that to get to what they're really saying so that you can work forward together and be transparent about that process. So thank you so much.
Great tee off. And one of the ways I met Brittany and started working with Brittany, she had a client, can I say that name? Yeah, sure. San Manuel, Band of Mission Indians. It's a long one. In San Bernardino, California, they have a bunch of casinos. And they were doing their very first employee engagement survey with the lovely Brittany in TNS. And she was really scared about her culture, being one that was afraid to make mistakes, being afraid of failing, very defensive when it came to feedback. And they were very scared. Their whole HR team was very scared about what their environment would do with this feedback, because chances are a lot of it could be negative. So she called in the experts. And we came in and we literally did training with them before their engagement survey on just sort of being okay with not being perfect in your business world, in your work life, which is something we train on a lot because of all the reasons we've talked about today. You feel like you've got to always be on point. You're always feeling pressure at work. We've been taught that mistakes are bad. We've been taught to color in the lines. Jesus, there's whiteout. They've made products that we can use used to blot out mistakes. So we actually go in and teach people that mistakes are actually okay, and failure is kind of cool, because you can get to some really great places if you can just look at failure as, it's going to happen. How do we move past it as quickly as possible? So we went into San Manuel. We did this training before their first engagement survey. When the survey results came out, they had better conversations. People were actually listening better. And the feedback didn't hit so hard. People were like, yeah, I could be better at that. Not a big deal. So what we're going to do is a quick exercise we like to call crab offers. So find someone new to work with. This is another paired exercise, a lot of fun. So find someone, get on your feet, find someone new to work with. If you want to stay at your table because you're not looking to commute, it's fine. But just try to work with somebody new. So grab a partner in this pair. Let's see. Let's have the person with the what's a good one? I just make this stuff up.
Whoever's commuted the furthest.
Whoever commuted the furthest, raise your hand in your pair. She's back. You're like, I definitely got that. So raise your hand.
Shane,
Okay, great. So raise your hand if you're partner A in this scenario. You commuted the furthest.
I'm Long Island.
And if it's even, just figure it out. Awesome. So we've got a partner A in each pair. Okay? So you're going to start this off, and don't worry, you're both going to get to do it. So. And what you're going to do is you're going to be giving your partner B some results of a performance review. So you're actually going to be delivering something that's not great. It's like maybe a piece of crappy feedback, which we get sometimes. At times. So on folks. So, and then Brittany would then, as the partner, would respond with something that they think is sandpaper nearby, so that when I rub up against something, I get polish instead of continuing to be prickly. Well, she got admitted on that one, and I hit her. She was not prepared for that. Practice that piece of feedback that someone showed in their performance review. It might be that, hey, Brittany, you give them an item that reminds you of that characteristic of what came out, whether it's rigid, hard, whiny, whatever, and then they have to thank you for it and find a positive way to use it, like a gift. Like that piece of crappy feedback is a gift because I can find a useful way to use it. Is everybody tracking? Your delivery? Give a CEO a cat with cancer. Right? Do you think that's bad? He was a champ. He goes, thank you. She said, I got you this cat. I don't know why she gave him a cat with cancer. He said, thank you. I can't imagine a higher honor than being able to spend the last days of this little guy's life with me, like getting to share that with him. And he turned it around and I was like, yes, if we can do that, we can do anything. So it doesn't have to be that morbid. But you can get creative is what I'm saying. So partner A, go, and I'll stop you in a second. We'll switch roles so you take stuff in. So you may begin.
So I want to talk about your performance review. What are things that I've gotten some feedback on with other parents and other people, and you don't agree with them? You tend to say that you get really loud and aggressive, and it comes across as almost yelling at them. So I got you this bullhorn so that you can remind you of how loud and amplified things get. Okay, so thank you so much. I wasn't expecting a gift, but I think I just went up with my office. I think it'd be great just to walk in and see it every day and think about it before. Thank you. Oh my God.
All right, Nancy. I let that go a little longer than I planned. So really quick, without any conversation, I just want you to switch roles. If you were partner B, now you're delivering that feedback. And partner A, you're going to find something really awesome about it, no matter how crappy it is. So you may begin.
Hello. So
something like an item or anything? What? I don't know if you're listening in on the exercise. Yeah. The last one I did, I gave the person a night because they're full on. That was my guess.
And we'll unpack this really quickly before we move to the next exercise. Give you a little bit of time to make your way back to your seat. Okay, so awesome. I'm just going to get maybe a volunteer to be able to see. This is super fun to hear. Like I said, I have heard some interesting gifts given at these events that we do. So who here got something that they would love to share with the group? That was a little, you got an alarm clock because the feedback showed, okay. Oh, wonderful. And you said thank you. Creative supervisor here. I love that.
I couldn't hear it on this side.
What did you say?
What did you say?
Can you repeat that response? I think it was
I was too poor to buy my own little baby.
Being humble is always the answer. I love that. Anybody else here?
Well, I gave a performance review, and of course there was a lot of grammatical errors, so I handed him a dictionary and said that he could use that going forward. And he appreciated that because he said, well, trying to disconnect on Google and actually go back to the basics. If I don't have that accessible at the moment, I can pull it up on the dictionary.
I love it. I love it. Anybody here want to share at least one?
I have a hearing aid.
A hearing aid.
Yes, I wasn't listening.
She got a hearing aid. The listening thing really sunk in with a lot of people, I think. And so you thanked them for the hearing aid.
Absolutely.
And said,
I actually did find that I wasn't hearing my left ear, and I found some spare batteries in the drawer left on my previous custody, and so it was realized it was everything.
she's not ashamed. I'll put that hearing aid on. What about here? I know you guys have an interesting one because you shared it with me. If you don't want to share it, then
Well, I gave a piece of question.
who's willing to share? Well, you can explain this video to us.
Okay, so I gave her feedback that her team says that she's not responsive and pretty cold, so I handed her a rock.
Gave her a rock because she's unresponsive and cold. And she said, thank you.
Yeah, so she carried it around as a reminder of feedback.
So you know you carry those rocks around because they have energy? Yeah, I got that. I think that's what she's doing. What about here? Any funny stories here? And I know we scattered around, but if you can represent the group of here that you were in. Anybody want to share? You don't have to. What did you get? What did you get?
I got the dictionary.
Oh, you got the dictionary. What did you get?
I got a compass.
You gave her a compass?
But it wasn't the one that
Okay. Oh, so what was the feedback? What was the negative, crappy feedback?
I was too rigid. I was not a team player.
Okay. Okay. It wasn't good. But you were able to use it to keep yourself on track. Okay. Very good. Here, anybody? Did anybody get a fun piece? Who got a crappy gift here that they would like to share? You got a scale?
Yeah.
To measure your moodiness?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. To balance it out. That's creative. I like that. Wait, what was your reply? Thank you.
Yeah, I was thank you to be more balanced.
Yeah.
But I was thinking afterwards, I'm like, maybe it's a sign on this side is bad, and I'll come to people know.
Yep. Yep. I love it how you're familiar for the day.
Yeah.
So you can like, it's just like checking the weather, like what mood is she in today? What about over here? Anybody care to share?
Sure. She gave me smiley stickers because she said I don't wear a smile a lot. So I said that I like stickers and I just wear them all over me. I put it on my face so that I'm always.
There you go. Yeah. Anybody else? Nothing interesting? Okay. You got the clock. So everybody's scattered around. So I've got coming back to the same ones. So to wind this one up, anybody want to share a thought or an observation of this silly little, why the heck are we doing this?
For me, I think it was very difficult to not make an excuse when I got the object. So I got the alarm clock and I was really trying to like think about it positively. So for me to like not make an excuse, and, oh, I have a crappy alarm clock at home, which is probably the reason why you're gifting it to me. So I think that was difficult.
Right. Yeah. I hear you. Anybody else? Relating this back to getting actual feedback, a performance review that you sat through, you're excruciating. Until I guess you sort of shift your mindset a little bit. Because if I look at a performance review I had in my 20s to a performance review I have now in my 40s, I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of better at this now. I think, the instinct is to make excuses or be defensive. But any thoughts on how that might apply to something personal with you at work or something that you've been through or your current state of giving or receiving feedback?
I would even ask if anyone has, and as we tie this back to surveying as well and getting that kind of mood check of your culture when we do the surveys, we use the performance review because that's a personal experience everyone's probably hopefully had that, of course. We can kind of mirror that. But this ties into when managers get that feedback, when they see their survey reports, someone said it's hard not to be defensive. It's hard not to look at that and say, oh, their immediate manager score is lower than I want it to be, or the comments I'm reading are not what I want to see. And has anyone seen managers shut down or get defensive ever when they get their feedback? Sometimes I get people and they say, oh, well, I can't do anything about this, right? I can't change how we assign shifts. I can't do anything about this. I'm powerless. Or I literally had someone say memo fits to me. I bought lunch for everyone right before the survey, and they still rated me. And she was crying. She was like, Marshall, she's like, I tried to show them that I cared, but I guess I didn't get through. And so it's that story of, I like this exercise because it's how do you take that feedback? Because it was honestly given. It was given with hopefully an environment of trust. And they're saying, I think something will come of this. And it's not saying, well, I'm defensive, so I'm not going to see that, or I'm going to say, well, this is your problem, or I can't do anything about it. You accept it for what it is, say thank you, and then say how you're going to use it moving forward. Right?
Yeah. I mean, the idea here is it's silly, right? But I think feedback is one of those things that obviously a lot of organizations struggle with because the culture is what it is. And you can't just change a culture overnight. So if it's already, go ahead.
I would say I also think it's like additive to the first activity. It couples with that listening and almost taking that pause to say let it digest, let it sit before you respond, because our gut instinct is to make an excuse or say why it is, and sometimes digesting it and thinking through deeper than lunch the day before, but what are other things that could be done.
Yeah. Think of it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think also it's important the flip side, the delivery, that it's not only coming out with the negatives, but putting the positive part in there and saying how the person can improve, what they need to do. We get the ideas and concepts of, okay, here are the issues at hand, but here are the ways that you can turn around. The delivery part is important, and that's how you would get a positive response.
Yeah. Right. I'm not missing a hand now. Yes.
I would also say that when you give feedback, it's not only giving feedback, but also understand what's behind that behavior. Just like for me, it would be very interesting to understand why this person either not being too clear, maybe there's something between people over there, or why like you said defensive, but maybe in this person's culture, this person feels the need to explain why this happened without thinking that being defensive or something.
So your response on, I'm too poor to buy one. talking to, sometimes when you get that feedback, there is an opportunity to say, thank you, here's the reason behind that. Not an excuse, we said that about excuses, but this is currently why I'm either, performing this way or not. Don't look at it as an excuse, but an opportunity to get to know me better. So that doesn't make me feel like you're being defensive, you're being honest. Yeah, I'm too poor. Okay. All right, well, now I know that. Let's work on that together. So, I was just going to say, so back to the culture thing. The culture is already one that's afraid to make mistakes because everybody's walking on eggshells. Giving feedback is going to be even more intense. Because everybody's like, I want to keep my job and I don't want to be looked at as bad. So that culture thing is going to take a while to shift. So if we can even just come in and set people up to go, we're human, we're going to make mistakes, everybody's going to fail. It's okay to fail. You can start to shift it just enough so that even initial survey results aren't as blunt and hard. So it's definitely a work in progress. Somebody else had something to say before we moved on.
So in a lot of companies, the feedback is tied up with the performance reviews. It happens probably once a year. It's related to the promotion and increments and everything. So, unless you have a culture of continuous feedback, people have a lot tied up with this process. And when they feel that they're getting negative feedback, it means that probably they will not get the raise they're expected or something. So it's a bigger disappointment. So people are more focused on the disappointment part rather than
It's emotional. I mean, if it's tied to a bonus, I mean.
Right. So and any feedback typically is taken in the sense, your body, your mind cannot decipher the difference between a physical danger or physical threat or emotional threat. So your physiological mechanism is similar. So you'll feel physically threatened when you get some sort of a negative feedback, some way you feel challenged. So the threat perception makes it far worse. If you have a culture of continuous feedback, probably, and a lot of times what happens is that the feedback is totally unexpected. You might feel that you've done a great job, but the other person thinks that it was terrible. So that's probably even more damaging for a person. If you have a semblance of things have not gone well, then probably the setting is in the sense that you were expecting that. I think people will take it in a much better fashion.
We have to create a culture that's okay with not being great all the time, and people are okay with that. And they're not their pay is not tied to how many times they mess up. That's excruciating to think about. So I challenge you all to try this. Not just it doesn't have to be a performance review situation, but the next time someone hands you something or gives you a critique or gives you feedback on something that's not entirely positive, and I've tried this several times. This is why I want you guys to try it, because people are not used to this. Say thank you. Try to think of this crap offers game. Don't play it exactly the same way that we played it. This is just practice, guys. Just say thank you. Find something good about what they just said, and then just say nothing. And you, literally, the face you get from them is kind of like, I don't think people know how to handle it when you thank them for a criticism or a piece of feedback that isn't always positive. Because we already expect, it's harder almost on the person giving that feedback than it is the person receiving it. But if you thank them, you would just see it in their face, did they just thank me for telling them that they needed to do X, Y, or Z better? Yeah, I did. And it's just an incredible exercise to try.
It's so powerful, especially when you bring it back to, again, we're talking about this morning with the survey feedback, because not only is it peer-to-peer in the hallway, so we're talking about a little bit, but also that face that in mass, when it's subordinate to leader, it's even harder to give maybe critique or criticism, especially if you like them. I like my manager, but they have some things to work on, but I know his engagement score and this feedback is tied to his perception. His leaders, they're going to see it. I don't want to kind of air or dirty laundry on a larger scale. So building that environment of trust and where it's seen as constructive, it's seen as truly a gift instead of a dig, I think is a big piece of it. So this exercise is really about honoring the feedback. And again, how do we continuously improve? Right, facts are friendly. You need to know what works and what doesn't. Otherwise, you can't grow. Do we grow once a year when we get performance feedback? No, you're continuously growing and learning. So I think this is a great exercise.
No problem. Failure is a huge thing. I'll give you one more thing, and if any of you run meetings, or you get to be a part of a meeting, or you're in a position where you can sort of impact culture in any shape, form, or way, once a week, when you're getting together or try to make it a part of your regular agenda, we've had companies that have actually started to implement this exercise we call, ta-da, I failed. And the way this works is have your staff stand around, and I do this in work environments, and I apply it to their work. So I used to work for Career Builder. Anybody here familiar with Career Builder job site? I trained all of their customer success and salespeople. I would have all my salespeople get in a circle in all the trainings. So everybody has to say something that they did this week in their job that they failed at. And step into the circle, proclaim it, take a bow like a trapeze artist, and everyone celebrated. We're just going to go crazy, crazy. So people would, this was like confession therapy. These salespeople would jump into the circle and go, I had a conference call this week, and I gave the lady the number, and she didn't call, and I was on the line. Turns out I gave her a sex line. Just some kind of weird number. And ta-da! Okay, stuff like that would come out. And later I learned that the same lady that did actually happen. They joke about it to this day. She's like one of his best clients. So yes, he did send her to a weird line, accidentally off by 1 digit. But that stuff happens, and it was a big deal to him. But he got it off his chest. We all celebrated it. You're still alive. And turns out, like I said, the end of that story is great, but in that moment, that's what happened. Everybody would jump into the circle. I accidentally added somebody to a thread that I shouldn't have. I might lose my job. Just all kinds of stuff comes out. It's usually not serious, but just the ability to go around and do that together in your workplace will it's just incredible, because what happens is you start to feel like, it's not a big deal. I used to work in places where if I jammed a copy machine, I would go to the bathroom and hide in the stall. Because I knew somebody in that office was going to go up to that copy machine and start ranting and raving about the person who broke it, or exercise. I thought if we do that. Now, we have taken a lot more time on other things, so here's what I can do. A condensed version of the collaboration, yes, and move right into spontaneous change management, or you tell me how much time.
We're actually okay.
Are you sure?
I've read this out.
Yes, go ahead.
Last year, a Princeton professor published a failure resume.
Say that one more time.
A failure resume.
A failure resume. Yes. I love that.
So that became quite viral, and on LinkedIn especially, a lot of people are publishing their own failure story in the form of a resume.
You need to send that to me. Is there a way to look at it or view it? I'll just Google it. Yeah.
Failure.
Thank you.
I love that because amazing. Yeah, and that's how we learn too. So when you're open about it, then you capture that knowledge capital.
Yeah.
Right? You capture the learning. Someone else can say, I did that too. Oh my gosh, how did you handle that?
Yes.
Or I've done that, here's how I handled it. And so you start to build more shared learning, and you short cycle that pain process.
And here's the kicker to all this. The quicker you move past that, the quicker you can get on to what matters. Let's stay here for 30 minutes and talk about this freaking jammed copy machine, or let's all get back to our jobs and do something that really matters. This is a waste of time. Or fretting over that wrong number you gave a client. It's a mistake, you're human. Get on to the next thing. Get on to the next thing. The faster you can do that, the more we forgive each other and get each other's back, and who cares if you broke the copy machine, and move on and get what's important is kind of the point there. Yes.
So we're kind of moving through this process still. So we got the results, and we were like, okay, we're starting with listening. We're grounding in listening. It's sharing, but it's really honoring their feedback. Next thing is what's really important from this feedback. What do we get from this? The gift that's hidden in this data, in this report, these comments, right? So getting at what they really care about. And then the next piece is making sure it's inclusive. So not only are we going to talk about it, but you're going to be involved. So how do you make sure that as you're moving from data to action, that it's a process that everyone takes part in, so it's engaging and the onus is shared? Because that's so important. If it's just the leader behind closed doors doing things are changing in their environment, and they can attribute it to their feedback. So on a scale of high to low, tell me what you think happens to engagement and participation scores when people take a survey and they're told their results. Okay, we got like 87% favorability and no actions taken. What do you think happens? Up or down? Down like this. Yeah, it goes down. How about they're not told what the results are, but things start changing in their environment? This happens a lot. This happens where the project team or the leadership team gets together, looks at the results, and they start taking actions, but they don't involve employees in it at all. What do you think happens to their engagement and participation scores? About the same. It's kind of like this. Just a little loose. It's kind of open to interpretation. Things start changing your environment, but I can't say that that's what I've done. I can't say because of my feedback this is now happening. They don't see that story, right? It's not compelling to me anymore. I don't feel empowered like my words have meaning. So it might be a safe environment, and I'd be honest, but I can't trust it because I don't see my role in it, right? When people are told their results and they're part of the actions communicated to them, what do you think happens to participation and engagement results now? It's high. It continues to go up because they see the pattern and they start engaging in it. So let's do a quick exercise about getting people involved in being inclusive in that process.
Yeah, so inclusive is the key word here. And everybody's probably working on diversity and inclusion efforts within their companies today. It's a pretty big thing. Uber is not doing a great job in that department. Sorry, do we have anybody here from Uber? And say us? No, I'm kidding. I don't think of you. But no, you're hearing a lot about it in the media, and one of the things that we're so passionate about is inclusivity. You can hire the most diverse staff in the world, and that if you've accomplished that, that's a victory in itself. If you are not including everyone, giving them a voice, a seat at the table, capitalizing on what makes them who they are, letting them bring their full self to work, you can't have one without the other is the basic gist of that. So this exercise really, I think, expresses that well, and it's also the foundational rule of improv, which is the yes and rule. It's become a little bit of a bumper sticker, so I would imagine here someone's heard of the yes and principle.
Raise your hand.
Show of hands.
Yes and.
Show of hands. So good. Not as many as usual. So this exercise won't be like a total bore for you guys. We know what it is. So we're going to get into groups of 3 for this. If you're already in a group of 3 at your table, if not, maybe one person go join another. Pull your chair over to another table. So there's going to be 3 people, a trio, in each group. And in this group, there's no fun way to divide A, B, and C. So you decide who your A, B, and C is in your trio. You got it? A's, raise your hand. A's in the trio. What's that we used? I don't know if I said this, by the way. I'm from Atlanta, so commute is something I am very familiar with. It's not like New York. We're all spread out. So in your trio, partner A, raise your hand. Partner A, no, just any A. Any old A. Like I said, there's no creative way to divvy this up. So A, and then a partner B in your trio, and then a partner C. Great. So partner A, you're going to start. And you need a group. They need right. So I want you to observe. I'm serious. Observing can be magical. So I want you to observe what happens here, and then we're going to report back to you. Okay. So partner A, you're going to start, and basically, Kantar TNS is giving you an unlimited budget to plan I don't know if you guys knew, but tonight we're going to do a huge celebration of this fun day we've had, this fun morning we've had. And you get to plan it. You get to unlimited budget, carte blanche. You can do anything, go anywhere, have anybody you want there. So sky is the limit. Partner A, you're going to pitch your idea for the best party for us to go to tonight here in New York or in Paris. It doesn't matter. You're going to pitch your idea to partners B and C. Partners B and C, the only way that you can respond is by saying no because, and then give a reason. So your only response is no, because, no. Because, no, because. You get the picture. So partner A, you start, pitch your party, make it good, and by the way, just keep going. Don't let them stop you. So you may begin. Partner B, same thing. And I want to make it clear, because we had some questions on the first round, you just keep going as the person who's pitching. If you're, look at it as you're pitching. You're pitching, and when you get shut down, you just keep going. You can keep going with the same idea. You can change it. You just don't stop pitching. Okay. Be resilient. So partner B, your turn to pitch, same thing, unlimited budget. You go a completely different direction from the partner A in this scenario. Partners A and C, the only way you can respond is, yeah, but something. Yeah, but something. And that's how you respond every single time partner B pitches their idea. Partner B, don't stop. Keep going. And you may begin. Don't forget to respond with yeah, but. Don't forget to respond with yeah, Partner C, turn, last time, third time's the charm. So you're going to pitch one more time, unlimited budget, sky's the limit, nothing is off limits to your partners A and B, and the only way you are able to respond is yes and add something to that. Yes and add something. Yes and add something. So partner C, you may pitch, you may begin.
Okay, so we've been yeah, there's music, like all different genres. Yes, and what about this? Yeah, they're all different too. All different kinds of roots. Yeah, it will provide. It's expensive. All right, give yourself a hand.
Okay, so they're having quite a party over there. I can't wait to hear. I'm going to get to that. I'd love to hear the final parties. They look quite different from where they started. So first, I would love if the partner A in this scenario who pitched and got the no because for you guys, anybody want to tell us what that felt like or what the experience was for you? If you got the no because, yes. Yeah, that's one reason. There's a lot of reasons. It's easy. bingo. So if we say no, there's no more work after that. Just no. You can't. It's like a stop sign. You said obstruction. That's exactly the way we see it in improv. Remember earlier when I was telling you about how the simple way to describe this methodology? The reason it's the foundational principle of improv is if I step out on stage with my partner and say, "It's a beautiful day outside, Brittany, let's go on a picnic." No. That's not fun to watch. I don't have a scene now. We can't do anything. She could have said yes, and then we could have gone to the park, had a picnic, played with a dog, had a popsicle, fell in the mud, caught a duck. I don't know. You have to say yes, affirm it, and move on, and build on it and move on. So who here in that round who heard the no because? Who felt like after a while they weren't just saying no to your idea, they were saying no to you, the person? I feel like somebody, like it had to start feeling like this is personal. Yeah. And it is. We don't think about that when we're at work because if we say no to the person that wants us to help them finish their project because they need help, we've got our own work to do. It's easier to say no and just get back to what we were doing. Obviously, there's more work if we say yes. And it's as simple as I have a 6-year-old son and he says, "Hey, Mom, I'm bored. I think I'll go play in the street." And I'm not going to say yes and let me grab your jacket. I'm going to say no. It sounds like you're bored. Let's find something for you to do. So the second round, then the yeah buts. Who here got the yeah buts? How did that feel?
Well, it could be you with respect for them, so you may
I don't think I've ever heard that. That's
want them
awesome.
to come.
So it kind of made you feel what about over here? You're pitching, and yeah, but right, that was really talking about something.
Yeah, and just trying to go off with
Yeah, anybody on this side want to talk about a yeah, but? Yeah, a but?
I had it easy. I don't know.
You're
I feel like I had it easy because everything that they came up with, there was no budget. So,
everything was answered with we have the budget. We have the budget.
How did it feel to hear yeah, but?
She was really listening, and she wanted, her idea was better than, she needed to say what she had to say, and not really listening, and then it was like, well, you close my mouth, and I was like, you know, the other mic as well. Exactly.
Yes.
It was frustrating.
Frustrating?
Yeah, it was like, learning is something came out really well.
Yeah.
So, but it kind of drove me to start thinking like other options about other options.
Right. So in the improv world, we like to say that the yeah, but is just a no wearing a little tuxedo. Because it's it's just no. You're just decorating. You're being passive aggressive. There's no yes after a yeah, but. You're just saying, yeah, but it's no. It's just a no. So we hear a lot of that in the workplace as well because people maybe think, well, I don't want to say no, that just sounds mean. But I really mean that. So I'll just say yeah, but. So it's the most annoying. Everybody hit it on the head, by the way. Anytime we do this, yeah, but is people are dying just to try to say it. Like, it really felt the same as the first one. Just a little more annoying and a little more frustrating. So we're like, yeah, it's like a no in little tuxedo. Trying to be cute.
I actually heard people's intonations change because the no because was like straightforward. Like, I'm just telling you no because. But the yeah, but, I heard like, yeah, but, like, it's just like sick pleasure and like, yeah, but, like, I'm really.
So, not to put that in your heads, but I know that the next time you guys are at work and somebody's like, yeah, but, you're like, just stop it. Just stop it with your yeah, but. And I'm going to give you clearance to do that. They can talk to me. So the last round, the C's in my groups that got the yes and, how did that feel? Great. What's your great? A little what?
It was too easy.
It was so easy.
It was more fun doing the other one.
Why do we want to make it so hard to communicate?
My idea was the worst.
My
idea was the worst. The parties, but I know.
But where did it end up? Where did your idea end up? What are we doing tonight?
We're having apartments with these. Katy Perry, Taylor Swift situation.
I'm all over that. How did the answer feel? So guess what, guys? Our night turned into a weekend, turned into a month of partying. I said yes, and. What else? What about you guys? Where are we going? Oh, you guys told me, right? Yes. Where are we going here? Where? What's MoMA? Oh, I'm not from New York. I'm going to the Atlanta Museum of Art. What about here? Where are we going? What are we doing? We're not going to London, but we're going to Central Park. Central Park. No wonder you were upset. You were like, what? So, but what are we doing? Did anything fun happen as a?
Yeah, we shut down Park for everyone.
Okay, well wait. We shut down Central Park. We didn't just go to Central Park. We shut it down, right? What about here? What are we doing?
We did a party on a double-decker bus with J-Lo performing on the roof over the loudspeaker.
J-Lo, double-decker bus, drinks. What about this table?
We're heading up to some resort, either in the Catskills or the Adirondacks for the whole week, taking the family. We're going to have s'mores around the campfire.
Nice. Maybe some tequila in there somewhere. I don't know. Usually when we play this game in corporate environments, people get a little pent up in their cubes all day. Usually somebody's in Vegas, somebody's got tequila, and somebody lost their clothes. And that is the way that it always works.
They got a little yes handing.
Little yes handing can go a long way. So with that, I'll sum this up really quick. So I want to leave you with an analogy that I want you to always think about when you're in a meeting or you're at work, and this idea of inclusivity. When you shut people down and their ideas down so much and so often, they will eventually feel like you're saying no to them, not just their idea, and that will make them the person shut down. We don't get to take advantage of all the cool things that make them who they are. We're all different. We're all talented for lots of different reasons. We all have different backgrounds. We all come to the table with these great gifts and talents. If we don't make everyone feel like they have a voice and their idea has a place to breathe and incubate, we're just leaving so much on the table unused that sometimes just we never get to see it, in the light of day. And that's unfortunate. If you think of all the ideas throughout time, if somebody hadn't yes-handed them, they would not be here with us today. I have a whole list. You can email me and I'll send them to you. I actually did the research on all the ideas that sat around over time until someone decided to say yes and they finally came to the light of day and we get to enjoy them. And I have a whole list of those. I'm not going to bore you with that right now. Trust me on this though. In improv, we use the analogy, if you bring a brick and I bring a brick, we can build this together, as opposed to me walking out on stage and just dumping a building and walking away. That does you no good. Let's do it together. Let's build it together. You've got things that are going to work in it. I've got things. It's about taking an idea and affirming it and acknowledging it and then building on top of it. So I'll go back to the analogy with my son. You can't always say yes to every idea. I'm bored, Brittany. I finished all of my work. Why don't we just set this place on fire? That's not a great idea. And you're not going to say yes to that. But you could say, wow, Christy, it sounds like you're really, really bored and you need something to do. So you can help me finish my report. And that's just a crazy example I just thought of. But you get the idea, right? You're not going to say yes to every crazy idea, but there is nothing wrong with letting it breathe for a minute. You're going to make that person feel great. You're not shutting them down. And it's just a collaborative and inclusive way to work and be together and get a job done. And there's so much power in that, yes. So we'll go into the next exercise if we have time. And if we don't, we can just do a Q&A because...
So we're out of time. Who has, it's New York, so I'm really sensitive to time. Who has hard stops at 11, like you need to be out? Okay, so it's most of us. All right, so we have one more exercise plan. It was really bringing it all together. It would take a little while. If you're interested in that, let us know. We can show you some materials because it is fun. You can try it or try with your team. So I offer you that. We'll follow up with an email with that information back. So I was just committed to doing that with you.
And so since we're not doing the last exercise, basically we were taking what we learned about the importance of listening, the importance of treating feedback like a gift, and the importance of being inclusive and appreciating all the ideas in the room, into one exercise where you got to sort of tap into those things by creating a change management campaign.
it's an easy exercise. You can actually do it at your company, at your next meeting. Happy to share it with you. My card's on the table. We will both be sending some emails so that you guys can ask more questions. I feel like I drop some heavy stuff on people sometimes, and then I'm like, bye, good luck. But please, I am here just to be a resource or to help you with anything.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Christy.
I'm sorry, and I'm almost done. I forgot to do this last part because we got off time.
Okay,
I want you guys to give yourselves a hand real quick, please. This is important. Improv can be scary, and it's not easy, and I know you all walked in here not knowing what you were going to walk into, and I appreciate you doing that and allowing yourself to be a little uncomfortable because that's the magic in the work we do in the first place. So thank you.
Thank you. So just as Christy mentioned, I'll be brief. We're also available, so if you heard anything today you really liked, you want to hear more, you have questions about it, give me a call. Happy to just be a thought partner in that as well. So we have lots to offer in addition to that as far as technology solutions or just experience we have if you're looking for that. We are, if you're interested in this and maybe you were thinking you were red in a couple of these areas, we are offering kind of a crash course or a boot camp for engagement programs. So just kind of taking everything we've learned. If what you heard here today was interesting to you, we are offering this twice a year, maybe quarterly, depending on how we receive it. But we're going to go through everything you need to run a world-class engagement program. And this is everything from aligning with senior leadership, strategy, your instrument, your data, how you analyze the data, how you roll it out to leaders. It's the whole shebang. So if you're interested in that, we will follow up as well. But one, put this on your radar so you can secure some spots. And then you also have been so good, you've earned your HCI, continuing education credit. So write this number down if you're here for that this morning. With that, I'll close. I want to wish you all a happy day in New York. It's a beautiful one. Grab some more food on your way out. It's here up front for your convenience. We'll be around, as I mentioned. David and I are both here for questions about Kantar and Christy's here as well on the Second City. So thank you, everyone. We had a great time here in New York.